Everybody, so, I've talked to you about this before, the Allard Prize for International Integrity. So this is a guy named Peter Allard in Canada, Vancouver, and there's a law school named after him at the University of British Columbia. And so the reason I know about this is because he's a fan of the show, eh? And so he likes the Jimmy Dore show, so he reached out to us to come cover this. They're giving away an award annually, correct? And so they find people who fight corruption all over the world. It is really a heady experience to be there. It was. And Glenn Greenwald was the keynote speaker. And now I want to show you the nominees. So the first finalists for this prize are a group of lawyers from Brazil who are uncovering unbelievable amounts of corruption and winning. So let's watch. This is who they are. So they're called the Car Wash Task Force. And the reason why is because their investigation started with a money laundering operation that started in a car wash, but then it just expanded to almost the whole government. So there you go.
Brazil is a country with a lot to offer. Its staggering beauty, with its beaches and tourist destinations, its strong family culture, and its artful blend of the old, the new, and the innovative. But along with that comes a heartbreaking disparity between the very wealthy and the very poor. It all adds up to a crippled economy.
Rio de Janeiro is an example of Brazil, a place where heaven and hell coexist. You see heaven, the same elite, the same oligarchs, and you see the same people paying the price. And of course, this is a result of a deep corrupt system.
But there's change afoot. For the past few years, Brazil's social, governmental, and corporate structures have been going through a major recalibration. Officials in all levels of government and industry, from the top down, are being jailed for misdeeds that involve massive money laundering and corruption, to the tune of almost $10 billion.
It's really unbelievable. Powerful people being arrested.
It's huge. It's groundbreaking. It makes the Nixon scheme, Watergate, seem like a couple of kids playing in the sandbox.
Welcome to Força Tarefa de Lava Jato, also known as the Car Wash Task Force. This group of legal warriors in the progressive city of Curitiba are uncovering the biggest corruption scheme in the history of Brazil, maybe even the world. It started innocently enough. Black market money dealers were using small businesses, such as gas stations with car washes, to do money laundering for some of their clients. In one of those cases, federal investigators connected a small-time dealer to a big-time executive named Paulo Roberto Costa. He worked for Petrobras, a state-run oil firm, one of the world's most profitable companies.
Costa was a director of Petrobras, and we had lots of evidence against him. So he decided to make an agreement, and he told us about the companies that paid bribes and the politicians that received bribes.
When Paulo Roberto Costa decided to cooperate, there was a kind of domino effect. A lot of other people decided to cooperate as well. We were able to arrest a lot of politicians, a lot of top executives of the major construction companies in Brazil, and we are talking about people with the highest possible political and economic power.
As the list of perpetrators expanded, Lava Jato went into full throttle. They discovered that Costa and others with Petrobras had been overpaying contractors on various projects, including the massive Compares refinery outside of Rio de Janeiro. In return, those contractors paid kickbacks that helped keep the politicians in power who had first appointed them. Now came a major test of the rule of law in Brazil. What would become of all those executives and politicians who were caught red-handed? Brazil's legal system was historically hard on street crime and soft on criminals in business suits. It was time for the court of Judge Sergio Moro to step up to the plate.
The corruption was so widespread, was so systemic, that you have to send a strong message. Oh, you stop that. We will not tolerate this kind of behavior.
Moro immediately threw 20 top executives from 8 major companies in jail without bail for several months. For the ruling class, this was unheard of.
Now, just imagine in America if 20 top executives from the 5 banks that run everything were put in jail for a couple of months. Imagine how that would shake up the system a little. Imagine how that would change things. Imagine that's what Barack Obama was supposed to do, and he didn't do it. So Americans don't fight corruption. They are corruption. So that's pretty... Just imagine what they did there. 20 top officials, and that's amazing. Okay.
And this was just the beginning. The scandal and the Lava Jato team have grown exponentially.
We are about 50 persons working together, lots of hours a day, working weekends, nights. Yeah, we work like detectives because here in Brazil, the federal prosecutors, we can investigate also, not only the police.
Car wash case has put under investigation almost 1/3 of the senators and 1/3 of the secretaries of state. Almost a half of the governors are also under investigation. And we were able to charge more than 280 people with crimes such as corruption, money laundering, and criminal organization. More than 100 of these people were convicted to serve more than 1,500 years of jail.
Our unit makes so many arrests here that we need more space for, even for the criminals here.
Those convicted include the CEO of the contracting firm Odebrecht, who was sentenced to 19 years in prison after being convicted of paying more than $30 million in bribes to Petrobras executives. A senator who was charged with taking kickbacks. No sitting senator had been arrested in 30 years. And one of Brazil's most beloved politicians. Ex-President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva was recently sentenced to 9.5 years in jail for taking bribes.
The rule of law is becoming stronger in Brazil, and this whole case, Lava Jato case, is a sign of this changing. Maybe this means that our justice will be more fair.
If we reduce corruption, we will increase our per capita income.
And because of the cooperation agreement with the defendants, they are committed to giving back more than $3 billion.
Part of that laundered money may find its way back to where it's badly needed.
This favela, it shows the reality of the vast majority of the Brazilian people. Over 50% of the population, of the households in this country, doesn't have basic sanitation. Talking about clean water supply, sewage systems. In 2017.
These persons, they don't have the basic, the health system, the education system. So you can say that corruption really kills people here in Brazil.
The public can see for themselves the enormity of the scandal at a gallery in Curitiba. All of this expensive art on exhibit was used to launder money and bribe officials, along with jewelry, fine wines, and other luxury items.
Lava Jato, it's okay for no corruption.
Lava Jato has become a work of art itself, with broad support of the public. Lava Jato bumper stickers are everywhere. Judge Moro has become a folk hero, and Delton has a best-selling book on the operation.
I wrote this book to say that we are not heroes in this case, and car wash case is only the first step.
Lava Jato is an attitude in Brazil now. It's a ray of hope, and it's an example for young prosecutors, young judges, that they can make a difference. We hope that we have success in the legal procedures, but the success of changing the mindset is already happening.
We live in a window of opportunity for changes, and we are committed to use any chance, any possibility to make things better in Brazil. And doing so is a matter that is up to everybody.
Wow.
That's kind of I don't know, that's amazing.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I want to get a Lava Jato t-shirt.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I really want one.
So Lava Jato, that's car wash, I guess, in whatever. They speak Spanish, but I think they speak Portuguese, right?
Portuguese, I
Portuguese
think.
in Brazil. So, yeah, Lava Jato. So there, we met those guys, by the way. I got to meet those guys. I interviewed them.
I mean, that's incredible. I mean, I couldn't even see anything like that happening usually in the United States.
Where a senator would go to jail and the head of an oil company would go to jail. That's
exactly. Like those
You mean like
types
Steve
of people.
Mnuchin would have
like
gone
Steve
to jail?
Mnuchin would have went to jail.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. I mean, usually when you hear about white-collar crime in the United States, which isn't even often, but
Right.
the few times it does happen, usually it's somebody lower on the totem pole in comparison, taking the heat for somebody at the top.
You mean
who's
like-
not going to get touched?
Like Lindsey England, Chelsea Manning, stuff like that. You mean those people who were prosecuted for torture? You know who wasn't? Donald Rumsfeld,
Yeah,
Condoleezza
exactly.
Rice, George
Yeah.
Bush, Dick Cheney. You know, the people who ordered it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what you're talking about. Yeah, you don't see white collar. So in America, we know that there's unbelievable corruption. Nobody goes to jail. Nixon didn't. Somebody made the case that it was when they didn't prosecute Nixon, it was all bets are off. They're never going to prosecute the elite again, and they haven't. The only guy they ever prosecuted in the whole economic meltdown was Madoff, and that's because he stole from rich people.
Yeah, well, Martin Shkreli.
Yeah,
The only reason he's facing any heat, he went after, he screwed over a couple rich people.
yeah. There you go.
Well, I just want to add that when we were at this event, Glenn Greenwald highlighted that there are imperfections.
In this, right. So, good point, Steph.
Right? And that he was saying there is no handbook to go ahead and do what you're doing. Did he make mistakes when he was investigating certain stories? Yes, he would say that. Just like the task force here may have made mistakes, but there's no handbook, and they're still trying to pursue something that, of course, is worth. It'll make a difference in Brazil and their country.
And they have a lot of powerful enemies.
Yes.
They made a lot of powerful enemies. So there's a lot of pushback happening against them now. And Glenn Greenwald addressed that stuff during his keynote speech, which I thought was awesome the way he did it. We're going to show parts of that speech in other videos, so we'll show you that because it was everybody was moved by it, that Glenn's speech. So we're going to show you more of that, and we're going to have Glenn on the show, and we'll talk about it with him then when we can get him on. So that's one of the first nominees or finalists for the Allard Prize. So you see what I'm talking about, why it's such a big deal. And that they're recognizing them. So they were part of the finalists. There's 2 more finalists. I'm going to show you those videos in just a minute. Portland, Oregon, the Jimmy Dore Show is coming to the Alberta Rose Theater November 12th. And we're going to Burbank, California, November 6th. And the Hollywood Improv on October 16th. There's a link for tickets right down there. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com for all links for all shows.